Tonight, we have 4 terrifying ghost stories that will send shivers down your spine. From eerie encounters to unexplained phenomena, each tale will draw you deeper into the unknown. So, sit back, relax, and prepare for a chilling ride through the supernatural. Let's dive in. These stories were submitted on January 22nd, 2015. Story number 1, Apusay. I was about 3 to 5 years old when this happened. My relatives said I had a dwarf friend, a black dwarf. They said his name was Apusai because that's what I often called him when I was a child. They said I frequently played with him. There were no other kids around back then, since I was the firstborn girl, and my male cousins were already 18. At first, they allowed me to play with him because he didn't seem to cause any harm, but when he tried to take me away, everything changed. I remember playing alone in the backyard one afternoon. I saw a child, pitch black with no clothes on. His skin was as dark as coal, with red eyes and black pupils. He was about my height then. He picked a flower and handed it to me, gesturing for me to come with him. Because I found the flower pretty, I reached for it and started to follow him. I was about to grab the flower when my aunt pulled me back, asking what I was doing. When I looked again, the child was gone. The next day, I had a fever, diarrhea, and was severely dehydrated. It lasted 3 days before I was taken to a folk healer. The healer said Apusai was offended, so they were advised to offer candies and food as a peace offering and say a short prayer. My dad did as advised, asking them not to take me. Since then, I haven't seen or spoken to him again because his house behind ours was destroyed. I have many more stories about Apusai. I hope this gets posted, unlike my previous stories. Story submitted by Miss Hemmings. Story number 2. Title, Stepmom. This is my cousin's experience. It was already early morning, around 4:30 a.m., when she got home from a night out. When she arrived, she immediately went up to their room on the second floor and lay down. A little later, she felt someone walking beside her, but she ignored it, thinking it was her younger sibling carrying a laptop, getting ready for school at 6 a.m. Then someone sat beside her. By the way, she was lying on a mattress placed on the floor. After that, the person beside her spoke, "Do you know who I am?" She still ignored it because she was tipsy and sleepy. Then the person spoke again, "I'm your mom, the one who lives by the window." Upon hearing this, she immediately got up, went downstairs, and saw her mom and her younger sibling having breakfast. Story submitted by Jenner. 3. Title, Snobber. Hello, readers. I'm a second-year college student, but I didn't go to USTE. This story happened back in my high school days. Our school hours were from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. This happened during our lunch break from 12 noon to 12:30 p.m. My friends and I were eating together. Our school's population was small, about 500 students from first to fifth year, so we all knew each other. While eating, we noticed a younger student at the table next to us who looked so pale, as if sick or sad, and had a negative vibe. As the eldest, I approached her and asked if she was okay, but she didn't answer and just stared blankly. So I went back to our table and kept watching her. Then she stood up and walked toward the teacher's area. She was part of the choir, the kid who didn't respond. It was customary for choir members to show respect when they saw Mr. B, the teacher who taught them. Mr. B noticed the kid looked weak, so he called her, but she only glanced at him. He called her closer, but she just smirked and walked out of the canteen. Everyone who saw was confused because that wasn't how she usually behaved. After lunch, we returned to class, napping during math, gossiping during science, and then in English, our teacher, who was also the kid's advisor, laughed at us when we told her what happened. She said it was impossible because the kid had been absent for 3 days, confined in the hospital. These kinds of things happen many times. There are many more stories from our school. I'll post them next time. Story submitted by Weirdest Star. Last story submitted for today, story number 4. Title, The Girl in the Jersey. I'm not from UST, but I'd like to share. It was already 7 p.m., but my co-players and I were still at the gym. We had training, so it would often run late. Around 8 p.m., I decided to take a shower so I could head back to the dorm. I went to the shower room alone because my co-players were still chatting. When I got there, I saw a girl wearing a jersey, but I didn't know her, so I just ignored her. I went into the second cubicle and started showering. But suddenly, the lights went out. So, I put on my bathrobe and stepped out of the cubicle. I was feeling for my bag on the table near the sink when someone grabbed my hand. I screamed and screamed, but luckily, my co-players arrived and the lights came back on. I took a shower again, and this time I waited for them before heading to the locker room because I was scared. But then I saw that girl in the jersey again. She was wearing the same clothes, but I ignored her. But I'm sure my co-players also saw her because the girl in the jersey walked right in front of us. When we were in the locker room, I asked one of my co-players, "Hey, are we the only players left in the gym?" Yes. The badminton and tennis players were sent home early since they didn't have a game. The basketball players aren't here either, and I don't know if anyone else is still training. Oh, I see. Because earlier, I saw a girl in a jersey. Maybe she was also training. She was the one who passed in front of us while we were walking to the locker room. No one passed in front of us earlier, right? We're the only players left here. When Yina said that, I felt chills all over. I didn't know who I saw. I was tired at the time, but I wasn't seeing things, I promise. The last time I saw that girl in the jersey was during one of our games. I saw her on the same bus we varsity players used. She was sitting at the back, looking out the window. Only the varsity team members rode that bus, so we didn't occupy all the seats. I still wonder who she was. Story submitted by Libero. Thanks for joining us on this chilling journey through the unknown. If you enjoyed these ghostly tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to never miss a new story. Have a paranormal experience of your own? Share it with us in the comments or send us a message. We might just feature it in our next episode. Until next time, stay safe and beware of what lurks in the shadows.